Good morning, everybody. Jason Meyer here with Morning Jump Start. How's everybody today? We well? Ready to get going with the week? So, Janie found it easy this morning. Yay! Cindy Meyer behind the scenes, making sure we are all here and going. Good morning, Shakti. So, it looks like we got Susan, and I know Tom is here. Janie. So we got a good crew today. So this morning what we're going to do is we're going to look at some 4 value compositional studies from our class. We're going to start with a still life, and then we're going to look at Millie, and then we might have a couple more if we have some time. We're going to see how the day goes today. So are you guys ready to just get started? Do we need to cover anything first? Everybody's all good? All right. Or is it all right? Let us call our friends up here, little iPad, do a little dance, and we're going. We're up and running. And I did at the last minute. That's what you guys saw me busy doing. Oops, that's not what we wanted. Where'd you go? Where'd it go? Oh, goodness. Goodness, goodness. All right, we're going to have to do a little something here. Here we go, here we go, and wait a minute. Oh my goodness. All right, well, we're not going to do that. By accident, I uploaded the images instead of the reference image. So maybe tomorrow we'll have reference images. Who knows? Each day gets better and better, right? Each day's better and better. It's either more or less, right? You can only go in 2 directions. Only go in 2 directions. So what do we have here? What do we have? Well, we got a nice dark, and emerging out of the darks, right? Comes into grapes, and that's going to lead us to what probably should be our biggest, brightest light. Right there. Okay, so we want to think, one of the things we probably want to think about is how can we get that pair, right? Can we put that guy through hair and makeup, modeling classes, boom, boom, boom. So when he walks in a room, he just shines. Oh, so pretty, right? That's what we're after. And then we want to end over here. Okay, so this is a great start. A great start. So we know what we need to do, don't we? What's supposed to be the brightest thing in here? What's supposed to be the brightest thing? Hey, Miss Wendy made it. Hello, Wendy. By the way, Wendy, I forgot to mention I did get your updated still life painting that you sent, and yeah, going in the right direction looks a lot better. Looks a lot better. So I think we will maybe every 4 months spend a month finishing what we've done, and so if you want, maybe bring it back then. But today we're looking at this, and so where does your eye go? Where does your eye go? What's the strongest thing in here? All right, again, you don't need to see any detail. There doesn't need to be any detail, you know, smaller than a postage stamp, and we should be able to tell where the eye is going. And in this case, we can. So huge kudos on that. But is reading more than that. All right, I don't know if you intended to do that or if that it's just kind of happened. Sometimes on our first pass we don't have everything set, right? We don't have everything set. We're kind of getting things set up. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Wendy. We're getting everything set up. But now we want to ask, do we have it set up right? Right? And I think I know what you're doing. You're kind of was building up to an end here, because this is also brighter than your pair, right? And this whole background's kind of brighter. So this is a slightly different concept. Reason being, this being so small and this being background, if we make this the brightest, it just logically doesn't quite make sense. Okay, good. Shakti says, it's completely obvious now. I didn't see it until you said it. Okay, great. So I hope the rest of you guys can see this. Again, a lot of times it's easier to see things on other people's work than it is our own. So then the concept's going to be, I like this coming out of the dark. I like coming out of the dark here. I think I'm going to... We don't really need to tell them right here that this is background. And this is going to be the power of suggestion. We can keep all of this like completely even, completely the same. And then as this moves across, the background can lighten up a little quicker than the table. And that way it'll separate. And if over here we're reading this as background and this is table, then the viewer's mind is going to tell them that that is background and that's table, even if there's nothing there to distinguish one from the other. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, so we're going to come out of the light. We're going to come onto these grapes. But then we want to make sure that this guy wins. Right? But after the party, we're going to have the most beautiful drive home you've ever seen. Right? But the drive home's not going to be brighter lights, more people, louder music, more food than the party. Right? So we want to make sure this guy wins. Then we're just going to walk it off for the rest of the painting. Okay. So enough chit-chat, huh? Is that enough chit-chat for you? I think that was enough chit-chat for me. Enough chit-chat for me, which means it's time to get to work. Time to get to work. And we're not doing oils. We're doing charcoals. We even have dust swipe. How about a dust swipe? Ooh, why is that so red? Too much chroma. There we go. Now I'm going to work on this upside down just so that you can see the idea is just about the movement of the values. Right? And we can move these values without seeing what all this is. So notice I'm just lightly going over all this, knocking it down a little bit so that we've got room for our pair to step forward. Alright, let's see if we can smudge this around a little bit and what happens. Especially on the edges, we don't want the lightest of an area to be right on the edge. Or I don't think so anyway. We saw a contemporary painting last night by Jeremy Mann where his lightest light was in fact next to the edge. Right? So you can see the effect it has. And if you want that kind of effect, then you do that kind of thing. Now you can do this with your own charcoal too. You see how I'm just getting stuff dirty and dragging it around? And this is actually where most of my time, well, honestly, when I work, most of my time, there's a lot of time spent on the size and placement. Lot of time spent making those initial marks because the placement of these things are so paramount. So I usually, not uncommon for me to spend more time on size and placement actually than I do even mixing colors or coming up with a color scheme. And again, this isn't fast because it's about measure. And so we've got to kind of tune ourselves into these quieter, smaller measures. All right, and by darkening this, guess what that's going to do? You got it. It's going to let that pear shine just a bit brighter. Just a bit brighter. So you can control the look of the value of something without even touching the thing. Right? To a large extent, just by adjusting what's around it. Now obviously there's things, if I had a black there, there's nothing I could do in the background to make that black look like it's light. That might be a slight exaggeration. There is something I can do with color temperature, but value-wise, not. Okay. All right, yeah, so give Shakti some love, of course, very nice. I love your figure. Yeah, I didn't do it publicly. I spoke briefly with Shakti yesterday, and I told her how happy I was with this. So probably should have done that again this morning. But my personality, I just like to get to work. So how have we done here? It still looks like that background's a little bit bright around that figure. So let me knock that down just a little bit. Okay, and then let's see some before and after. Okay. Again, I don't do these before and afters to go, oh, look how cool I am. It's got nothing to do with that. When I'm flipping back and forth, I'm trying to train your eye, or help you train your own eye to see, right? To see how how'd it go? How, why now, brown cow? How'd it go? I forgot. Anyway. Places my mind goes. All right. We need that to win. We need that to win. We need that to be more. We need that to be more and this to be less. Does that make sense? So the language I use of more and less, now yeah, we've got to get down into the weeds of value and all of that, but it's not about drawing objects. It's about controlling the eye. Right? It's more about controlling the path of the eye and suggesting the objects rather than showing the objects and suggesting a path. We talked yesterday about how important it is to be precise on what's primary. Okay, so I think you get the idea here. And then let me go back. To this and see if I can get some raw canvas here. Or in this case it'd be raw paper, but All right. And what I'm going to do is, now this is raw paper, so this is going to act like a kneaded eraser. It's going to act like a kneaded eraser. Whoops. Oh. It's hard to draw with the big chamois. So where did our... There it is. Okay. So as we pull this out, and look, what's the brightest here besides the highlight? Well, is that shoulder turning away? I think we're going to make that shoulder turn away. So we're going to do something a little different. This is going to be the brightest right here. And then as this turns away, we're going to die off a little bit. And as it turns away down there, we'll die off a little bit. So again, I don't have to outline that stem with this, but if I can catch it in a couple of places, I think the drawing is going to be stronger. And again, as we go to that shoulder, I'm going to let that fall off a little bit. So this is only my bright. Edges matter. Edges matter. Yep, even in these small places, edges matter. If I have a hard edge behind this stem, that stem's going to get a lot harder to see. So again, this is where a lot of the time is spent. Because these are kind of finer movements and measures. So the finer it is, the longer it takes. You know, sometimes you land on it, but typically speaking, these things take a little longer. Okay, so who sees what's wrong with this? Who sees what's wrong with this? Nice, 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 nice. Oh, I love, right on, right on. Hi, Claudia. Claudia says it's very nice. And then above she says, I didn't know whose it was, so I didn't know who to say it to. You guys are awesome. Okay, so as we pull out, do you see? But what's wrong with that pear? Something's very, very, very wrong with it. What is wrong with that thing? What happens when the shadow does that? It makes this look hollow, like a cup. The light has to go like that so that the shadow can catch the light. If that shadow's like this, it can't catch that light, can it? Because that light's just gonna spill right over it. So we always catch the light. See that? That's going to be very important up there too. You can't do that. You cannot do that. And it still look like it's a full form. Okay? So, let's fix our evil, evil ways. Let's fix our evil, evil ways. Right, and this is turning over into air, maybe too much there. And it's in front of that. That is too much. Enough is enough, right? Enough is enough. There we go. That's a little better. Like I said, measures everything. You see that little value difference? One worked, the other didn't. So that's the plane going away, the plane going away, the plane going away, and towards the top after the highlight, the plane going away. Then the plane facing the light. Be here. And we have the highlights. Now, this highlight has got to be on the same place. So if we followed this down, we would go up, and so that would be over here, wouldn't it? Okay. This highlight here and this don't match up on the topography. It matches up that direction, but we didn't consider that we're going up here, then we're going down, then we're going up, then we're going back. So those highlights will be on those corners, lined up with the topography. Okay. And one other thing I wanted to say, now of course this is going to be a soft edge. We've got to go back and soft edge that a little bit. But for the sake of time, I'm going to leave that up to you. Okay. So this is a general principle. Just a general principle, but let's illustrate it on the grape. Okay? And that principle, and we all do this, we all at least start this way, is if I have an object like here, a grape, just say we have a grape. Did you guys say it? Come on, I thought we were going to say we have a grape. You got to buy into this. You got to buy in. All right, so we got a grape. Now, a lot of times if we think, oh, what's the measure between the grape and the table? The table's too light. The table's, and I'm just making this up. Right? I'm just making this up right now as an example. The table's too light. So a lot of times what we'll do is, well, okay, well, let's make that. And we'll come in here and we make the table lighter like this. Everybody see what I'm doing? I'm just going a circle around our grid. And the thing that does is it instantly kind of two-dimensional and flattens everything out. So what'll be better, no matter what you have, whether it's a tree, a grape, a person, a portrait, right? If this was a portrait, it's still the background. And what do we want to do with that? Well, this is a still life, which means this is on a table, which means it's going to have a cast shadow. But outside of that, what if that table went through several changes as the grape goes up? Or let's just say for the sake of picture, maybe there's something else here that's throwing a long shadow. You know, some big vase or something standing up here, throwing a shadow. Okay, and then we're going to come out of that shadow. And if we wanted to fade off into the background, right? I mean, there's different reasons. We usually say it's lighter grayer, but it really depends on what, generally speaking, it is lighter grayer. But it's going to depend on where you need that viewer to go to exactly how you're going to handle this. So what happened here? What happened? And let's go a little darker, richer up front too. So what's happening is you're saying that this grape is going vertical. In other words, that's standing up in the space. So if it's standing up into the space, then the things that are horizontal, look, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 horizontal changes that this intersects with. That says space. That says landscape, still life, portrait, whatever. It really helps to define this, and also what it does it looks better than that. Not only does it look better, but it reads. If anybody that's new around here going, what do you mean it reads? Well, we're going to have to assume that we're going to come back and let's see, we need to be on this thing here and soften these edges, right? Because it won't be, well, there may be a hard edge if that's a shadow, or if that shadow's way away, it may be a soft edge, who knows? Be a softer edge as we get back down to the end of it. Right, so now that's going through space. And don't forget, even if we came with this dark back here, that could still act as a highlight on our grape. Right, then if that was going to be highlight, then I would say transparency, probably like that. So you see, it's measure, 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 measure. What if I needed that grape to make more noise? Well, I could always come back and boom, a little bit brighter. It's like, how much does that grape need? Right? Sometimes if things are really quiet, that highlight might look something like that. Okay? Again, the measure. So this is going really good, but I think if we change the value of that, and then boop, boop, on these grapes here, show them going, even if it's like a little different from here to here, so that we could have light around that shadow from that grape. You could go to the other side if you wanted to. And then back here, since we don't need to look there, we want to go off, I would start graying off You know, and you could do it pretty quickly if you wanted to. As long as you keep those edges soft. Okay, now I don't know if you want to be that light. Again, I'm just saying if you'll go across, that'll what that actually does is that it makes the thing more visible in a sense, but it also makes it participate and not be so outside. All right, I need to keep moving because I'm getting into my artistic mind, and when I do that, I'm gonna lose my ability to speak. So let's keep moving here. Okay. So work on the grapes, and then changing those values so that that pair wins. Great job. You're getting a really nice mood in here. And I know it can be frustrating because you're like, oh, I'm at the edge of my ability. And what do? I go, okay, so go further. But that's all right. Keep going. That's how we do it. All right. Good job. Good job. Good job. Let's see. Should the light grape be to the left of the pear? I don't think so. I don't think so. Let me get up to here. No, don't. I don't know what I just did, but it can't be good. So this is going to be lit up. I would also light maybe a little bit of the ground here, keep that, and some of the ground here pretty well, with the idea of this light not just being right here. See if we can spill a little bit of it out to go like that. Okay. And then also, if this isn't quite so sharp right here, I like that light back there, but this angle is just a little bit sharp. And then once that's set, you might want to think about it, but it's this that I don't like. I don't care for that. And since they're light, I don't think we want to put them on the outside here. Like if they were dark grapes, I would put them over there, but since they're light grapes, I think what I'm going to do is cheat them just to the inside here and maybe up a little bit. Again, so they're kind of more part of that note rather than so far over here. It's a very subtle thing, and it just takes experience and looking. But I think I might, think about somewhere there with those lights. And then how I'm going to make that fit is with the brightness. Right? I'm going to make that brightness come up and go down till it fits there. And don't forget, well, you've got it here too. Those cast shadows are what's going to give it a presence. Right? The cast shadows always give it the presence. Okay? Yeah, let's leave it there. That was a lot for the day. So I hope that helps. It almost seems Egyptian. Does it seem that old? But that was it. Guys, this is why I'm here. So Shakti says, oh, I didn't know what was bothering me. But what is it? What is it? What is it? And a lot of times it's something simple, a little movement or a brightness, right? But for me, it was these abstract things, even with like the angle of the shadows. Like, there's a big difference between those two. Right? That's a big This is probably too much for a shadow. A cast shadow. This is probably maximum that you can get down there. Right? So you'd have a range and if it wants to, it could even slightly come forward. But you're going to have a very narrow range of angles that cast shadows will make a sense at. Right? And I think just you got that slightly steep. Again, this is subtle stuff, but it's really what makes things powerful. Right? Why, when David LaFell paints a grape or a pear or anything, it's just so spectacular. Right? And a lot of it are these subtle little angles. Right? And if you're subtle enough, and if you see, he even cheats at some, all painters do. But he'll cheat, but not enough that it looks wrong. Right? If he cheats something, the other thing he does is he gets your eye away from it so you don't notice it. Sneaky, I know. All right, guys. Good job. Good job. All right, what do we got here? What in the world do we have here? Oh, do we need to just take a minute and take this in? I could use a minute. So this is great. She's even got it raining in the drawing. She was asking, how do you draw rain? How do you paint rain? So lots of good things going here. I love the personality. I love the idea. So let's take this now and see, boom, what can we do with it? Yeah, not too bad, huh? Kind of clever. I think you missed your calling. Susan's a scientist, but I think you should have been in character development, animation or something, right, with the animals. Maybe you could go work for Disney or DreamWorks or something. Yeah, it's just, I want to know what that dog is saying, right? A dog that looks like that's got to be able to talk. So we're going to need some speech bubbles there, Susan. We need speech bubbles. Okay, well, all right, back to work. So how are we going to, what's next for this thing? What's next? So Susan, I know you've talked a long time, and part of one of the things you want to do is to paint fur. Now, in defense, Susan's painting Millie at a slightly different angle from a different reference than we used on this painting. She's using one from Sketch Club. And in that one, Millie was about going into the military. She just got a buzz cut. But we still want to show a little bit of hair, right? Or fur. Fur, hair. I think you told me one time those were the same thing. I don't remember. But, so how are we going to do that? And then let's talk about focus. Okay? You guys are giving me great stuff to work with today. Great stuff. But before I do, let's, so everybody watching can see what's going right here. What's going right? So the very first thing I look at in these things, can I clearly see there we go, a number 4 value, which is our dark, a number 3 value, which is our gray, a number 2 value, which is the tone of the paper, and then the number 1 value of the white chalk, right? Because all that we can do with our materials are make dark or lighter shapes. That's what they're capable of, so we want to keep them in their lane, doing what they need to do. So then the question for us becomes, how are we going to organize these patterns? How are we going to organize these patterns? So, Susan, I think you knocked it out of the park with the subject matter, right? Setting this up. So now, and I know you're capable of it, I want you knocking this out of the park as a painting, right? In addition, I mean, the character development's boom. Now, if we get the aesthetic and plainly artistic, not in the sense of subject matter, but in the sense of movement and composition, dude, I don't know. You're kind of new, so you probably don't know the setup. Well, not real new. But the deal always is yeah, we're going to work and work and work, and then you sell it, and then I just ask for 10%. So I think we should do this Oil Painters of America or something. That's, right? They got a nice grand prize of $25,000, $50,000. Let's set our eyes on that, huh? Because what's 10% of 25,000? That's still pretty good. That's still pretty good. All right. Okay, so all jokes aside, what are we going to do here? What are we going to do here? So I think what I want to do, Susan, is focus on two things. One is the organization of the patterns, and two is the look of fur. Okay? I know you can because you've done it before, but the next step of this, besides this pattern and the look of fur, is basically the look of the surface, is to get that nose feeling like it's a different material than the fur, which is a different material than the glasses. The clear glass is a different material than the rubber or whatever's around the eyes, which is different than the eyeball. So the question is, how do we show that? And basically our only options are how dark and light and edges. So let's think about this for a minute. Right? We've got a cylinder here. It's almost more of a cone, but we're gonna call it, we'll call it a cylinder. It goes around. Yeah, are there some little sub movement? You betcha. You bet you. But to begin with, we want to see biggest, simplest first. And then that's kind of sitting on top of a sphere. And again, is that perfectly sphere? No, her head's a little more egg-like. But simplify, simplify, simplify. And why do we want to do that? Because when we want to do that, well, then our shadows become easy. We know how these things are lit in shadow. And the funny thing about, okay, Millie here is this front is kind of turned away too. I don't know that we want to make it as dark as this shadow. And then this is all underplane, and that's underplane. Right, so if it doesn't go through shadow, it's at least going to go through air. And if our light's coming this way, the other thing we're going to do with this cast shadow is we're going to let it cast a little further. Right? We're going to kind of exaggerate it on these forms, and that's going to help us out there. And we're also going to really play down, if not eliminate, these highlights. Okay? Because one of the things the highlights do is bring it forward, and we want to show that this neck is pretty far back from that nose. It's far and it's under. Okay, so we're going to do that by playing that white down, which will make all the white up here stronger. What else are we going to do? It's a lot of red for one painting right there. What else are we going to do? So what if just immediately we got rid of a little bit of this white? So technically I know what you're doing here, but now what I'm doing is I'm holding it up against the overall composition. Okay? And again, what does this help things solidify? If we bring those, right, show that that's all underplane there. You see how instantly that got more solid? And then if it's little under here, right, showing a little bit would help. Then the other thing is she's twisting, right? So a twist, when things twist, what happens? Something, right? So we need to indicate that right there somehow. And one of the ways we can do that is showing a more distinct angle change, right? Rather than kind of letting it roll. Again, this is a little subtle, and I hope you guys don't think this is harsh. Well, it does. So what if we could bring that out just a little bit more? And then what if maybe just a tiny bit of light was flowing over here before it started turning and eventually going into shadow? Right, then what that would mean for sure is that our background, this should be cool, but whatever, is going to need to separate off of those. You see how that one little thing, so much it's up to these little bitty keys, and you have it here, and this is real important, but I sometimes see if I can exaggerate. Because those very small negative shapes, if we can, let's get a lot of use out of that. Now, I may have messed up the skeletal system and things like that by going too far here, but just showing you that that is a space that I'm going to pay special attention to. This is a connector that I'm going to pay special attention to. The same thing here with this neck. Could we maybe get this slightly darker? Right, we probably want it to separate from the background a little bit, but if we could get that darker, because this is all kind of turning under, right? And then what if those darks again just showed, so that's going that way. You want to figure out how we can show this thing twisting. Okay, so this would be one of the ways right here, is this undershadow, that this came down. So what I just did there was separate okay. Now we gotta watch it. We got this looking funny over here. But if I can put my 2 cents in, this shape, I don't know if it's helping us. I don't know why. Well, it's a little still. It's a little bit still. And when I first looked at it, I thought it might be a bandana. So what if there was a bandana tied? That's going to help you show the roundness of that neck. And then also, you could show that flying down the road, that bandana's flying off of there. And mainly what this is doing is giving us an opportunity to take this dark shape that was just going down and down and down, being a downer, and lifting it up. That upward movement. Can you see how that changes the spirit of the painting? Right? Again, I may not have it exactly right. Then we may have, things over here. But just a thought, because we do want to show the roundness of this neck. And I didn't think about it before, but the other thing is, if right now this is value, meaning like this isn't separating from that and from that too much. But once we add color to this, we can keep this value all one, but with color we can separate it. And that's going to help show the underside of the chin, right? And then what if the bandana was a slightly different color than black? Maybe a blue or something. I don't know, just a thought, So with that same idea of this stuff down here being back, being behind, and when things are down, like under here, we're going to play those down rather than spell them out. I would probably take that away. Right? I would take that away. I would probably emphasize that shadow a little more of the ear. And then, let's see, those goggles will throw shadow for sure. You've got a little bit there. But also that up there. So that might all be in shadow there. And then, I don't think I would show that in there. I don't think I would highlight that. She actually has some fur and a little bit of it gets highlighted up there. Then this is going to be the shadow side of the eyeball. Let's see, and then this is going to have a shadow from the goggles. And then like the highlights all over here too, I'm going to play those down so that this side of the face is near us. Right? So I'm going to play those down. I'm going to make those less as we go. Dude, did you? Oh yeah, I guess I was going to say, you like Mad Max this thing, but I guess you got to have these things if you have windshield wipers on here. So there we go. And then up here too, that's going to cast some shadow. All right, and this will cast shadow. And then that all casts shadow. Shadow, shadow, shadow. Okay, and then black. Basically, you separate black from shadow from black and light by temperature change. So if like some of this was in light, I don't know. But either way, I would probably make it kind of overall dark with some highlights and stuff. God, look. Get her out of the basket. Put her in the pilot seat. She's ready to fly. She's ready to fly. Okay, so does some of that stuff make sense, Susan? Oh my goodness, I've missed a bunch. Windshield wipers, yep. The speech bubble. Why is Jason? I love. Where did that go? You're hidden somewhere. You're hidden somewhere. There we go. Come on, I like to push you guys. That's right, that's right. How could you have a bad day looking at this? Susan, you could be a millionaire painter. Did you know that? Did you know that? A millionaire painter. A millionaire. Oh, check that out. You know what, Susan? You could raise some good money for animal charities with your drawings and your paintings. Absolutely. Absolutely. And what a great cause. Great, great, great. You guys, Millie for president. Okay. Okay, so that was one part. How are we doing on time? All right, we're near an hour, so I want to wrap this up. But besides those value ideas and subduing some of the highlights, some of the value changes, the other thing I said I wanted to talk about, Susan, was the fur. And it's literally a matter of how you put these things down. So let's put a little gray down first, just so we have. But I'm not going to put I'm going to put edges like this up here. Do you see that? And then if there's a little... That's literally how you get fur. So if we've got white up here... Can you guys see that? Not that I'm too small. But I'm not doing my edge like that, right? If I do the first time, I might, but I've got to come back at some point and at least indicate some of this. Now, it will look horrible. It will look horrible. It will look horrible. I promise you it will look horrible. You sensing a warning here? If you do this everywhere the same. Don't do this everywhere the same. Right? And I mean, you know probably better than any of us that's not what animals' hair. I mean, for instance, right? Granted, I'm not quite completely an animal. How even is my hair? How even is my hair? Okay, is that making sense to everybody? Can you guys see? Oops, I'm mirrored here. The highlight, right? Oops, I'm mirrored, so this is messing me up, but let's unmirror. Let's just unmirror. Here we go. So see the highlight right there? But it's not solid all the way through. There's skips and jumps, aren't there? And this, what's this thing doing back here? Boom. What? Just wild. And then, don't forget, she's out in the rain on a flying, and so her hair is going to be going back. What happens when your hair goes back and flies around? Right? You want to give energy to it. Okay, so I hope that helps. Anyway, that's all for the warning. Oops. Hi, Millie. Are you sad you locked yourself in here? Well, you're going to have to wait just a few more minutes, baby. Baby. Okay, let's take some of that evenness out. And then even on the shadow side. But again, what I'm going to do is areas, like maybe areas around this nice negative shape. I'm just going to make sure to have a little bit. Areas of focus might have a little bit more. You know, even as you're doing these shadows and stuff. So it's an edge. It's just an edge thing. Just an edge thing. All right. Does that make sense, Susan? Fur, my number one thing I want to learn. Right on. Right on. Okay. So, wait. I forgot to... Oops. Press the wrong buttons here. What happened to our do-si-do? There we go. So, I came back in, and when you guys couldn't see, did right there. Why? Because this is an important negative shape, right? You're going to have a good negative shape in here. So let me be as explicit as I can where I want them to be. And then when I come up here, which is somewhere I don't necessarily to be, I'm going to let this one be a little less active. So I'm going to use that idea of fur as a place to help them focus. Right? If, like with the mouth and everything, I might have a little, but if I didn't want to focus there, I wouldn't put it. Right? If I don't want to focus in this eye over here, I'm not going to indicate a bunch. You know, I want it to sense that it's there. But these movements are very active. They're calling a lot of attention. So a little goes a long way. Okay. All right, Susan. Well, I hope that made sense. And I hope that helped everybody out. And I hope to get some more drawings in the morning so that we can do this again. Okay? What else? As always, if you're new here, hope you'll like the video and subscribe to our channel. We have quite a schedule. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings at 8 a.m. we do morning jumpstart feedback for students. And so you'll see a lot of critiques and what's next on there. In the evening, we have Masterworks on Monday and Wednesdays at 7 in the evening right here on our YouTube channel. And on Sunday, Tuesday, Thursdays at 7 o'clock on Facebook, we have Sketch Club. We also have a monthly class where all of these paintings come from that we're critiquing. If you'd like to join us, you can just leave a comment or check out the website, jasonmeyer.com. All right, everybody. Okay, Susan, the pressure's on. We can't wait to see what you'll do with this. Yep. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Susan, thanks everybody for their support. So wonderful, Susan. Thanks for putting a smile on our face. And you guys are all becoming incredible artists. And yeah, go earn some money for some animal charities. Right? And that gives you a little drive to do a little better and finish. And you know, I don't know what your goals are, Susan, but you're completely capable of getting into a gallery and selling a little bit too, or selling online. So you might want to think about that. All right. Let's see. I guess it's proper to say goodbye in person. So for me and my hair, we'll see you guys tonight at 7. Wait, what is it? Tuesdays at 7 for Sketch Club on Facebook. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.